Okay, welcome to another edition of Carnivore Bites, a special edition, ladies and gentlemen, and Dr. Lobkin, because we had our send-off last week, and we wished everyone happy holidays, a happy new year, but we're back, as Schwarzenegger said, and we're back for what reason, Dr. Lobkin?
Well, when Joe Manchin blows up the Democratic agenda, it means we have to come back and talk about it.
Yes, I was. I didn't quite. It's been going on for over a month. Thought in the end he would cave. He did not cave. Brings up some interesting speculation. Most people don't think it's going to happen. I don't either. Is he going to switch parties? I don't think so. He could go independent. But more importantly, it blows up the Democratic agenda. I think it sets the administration back. I actually think it's worse than what's being reported because I think it's given entree for other Democrats, not many, to maybe bail. Because what's the incentive of going for this? You have a president that's hourly imploding, and that was evident yesterday. We'll talk about that later. Not a popular agenda. What's the uptake? I mean, next year, even you're looking at defections in the Democratic Party, retirements, it's going to be a bloodbath. So I'm not counting on it, but I wouldn't be surprised if a couple others bailed on it as well. What do you think?
Yeah, they're talking about pushing this through for a vote regardless of Manchin. Their idea is they want to hold Manchin accountable, and they think he's going to back down. The problem is, first of all, the main reason he stepped away from Build Back Better is not even what's in the bill. He was negotiating what was in the bill and what it would cost. And quite frankly, he's well aware of the fact that a bill that he would vote for would not pass the House because the progressives won't vote for it. But he backed away mostly because of the way the Democratic Party was treating him. They were harassing him. They were abusing him. And he finally said, you know what? Enough is enough.
Okay, but how does he play with them? Isn't he going to take his ball and go home? Because what's the point? I mean, yes, they were harassing him. They were even people, even liberals like Bette Midler, her tweets. I mean, I don't know if she got thrown off Twitter. If she was a Republican or conservative, she'd have her ass handed to her, calling his constituency, a bunch of strung out illiterates, and then her retort or her quasi apology basically just slammed him even more, called him a carpetbagger. So how does he go back and play ball with them? I mean, because you're right, it's like almost being in a situation where your friend, your spouse, whatever, does something. I mean, it's hard to go back, is my point.
It's hard. I
think he will, but it's not going to be.
Oh, well, I have no doubt he's going to stay a Democrat.
Yes.
He is a third generation Democratic, power person in West Virginia. His father was a big man in the party. His grandfather was a big man in the party. What the Democrats are not understanding is that Joe Manchin is a Democrat in the same way that JFK was a Democrat. He's not one of these liberal bullshit artists, and he is standing up for the people of West Virginia. Now, these are the people that voted for him. And if you take a look at the polls, first of all, he's got a 60% approval rating in West Virginia.
Biden's.
Yeah, double what Biden has. Biden lost West Virginia by 39 points. So it wasn't even close. And on top of that, 75% of West Virginia residents have said they do not want Build Back Better. So he's not in any danger from his electorate by saying no to this. And that's what the Democrats don't understand. More than that,
but here's what I think, though. I think that he could he's not going to do it. It's purely a fantasy, but he could have a watershed moment, a wake up call for the Democratic Party by having a press conference and saying, this is not the party of my grandfather. This is not the party, as you said, of JFK. I am now an independent.
Yeah, again, I would love to see
it's
him
not gonna
do
happen,
that, but I don't think he's leaving the party.
100%
What he
agree.
is doing, though, and by staying in the party, he's actually encouraging this, is he's encouraging other moderates to step up. There have been people leaking information out of the Senate that there are actually 5 Democrats who want to vote no on Build Back Better. These are folks in purple states that are up for re-election in 2022, and they think voting for Build Back Better is going to kill them in next year's election.
And that was my point, Dr. Lopkin, is that I believe that he provided the opportunity for others that are on the fence to go with it, because I don't see the uptick in voting for this thing.
No, there's no uptick in it. Chuck Schumer has said he's going to bring this bill to the floor. What bill that is, God only knows, because the bill is still going through the reconciliation process, and the Senate Rules Committee has to take out anything that doesn't fit. So they don't even have a full bill yet to put up in the Senate. But
they always miscalculate. They've been doing this in the administration and in the party. They overreach everything. Yes. Bringing it to a vote, Manchin's not going to change. It would be political suicide for him to change.
Well, the other thing that they seem to be forgetting is yes, Manchin's not going to change his mind now. He's voting no. Absolutely. But we also know that Sinema has said she's going to vote no.
So again, then that just puts the stamp of death on this bill, but they're so tone deaf because they're so isolated that they don't get it.
Well, they are tone deaf because they're not listening. The White House said they were blindsided by Manchin saying no. He's been saying no for 6 months. They chose not to listen. But I mean, if you listen to what the administration is saying, they were surprised by Manchin saying no. They were surprised by the Omicron variant. They were surprised by inflation. They were surprised that Afghanistan fell as quickly as it did. They're pretty much surprised by everything that comes along. These guys are surprised when the sun rises in the morning because 100%. They're clearly not paying attention.
Well, here's where I don't believe anything liberals say anymore, but this I actually do believe that they were surprised because you have Biden. I agree with you. He's surprised if he knows what state he's in. And if you saw, and by the way, we'll transition a little bit to the Omni variant, Corona, whatever, I really believe that this is the end of his administration because he had some positive numbers a while ago. Kind of was the only thing that was keeping him afloat even months ago was his handling or potential handling of the coronavirus. What's going to happen, what he did yesterday, first of all, his press conference was, again, another disaster. I don't know if they wanted him to take questions, but he did. And he showed his dementia. He started yelling, which is a sign of dementia, and just completely looked like he was completely not in control. He could have had a moment, and as Dana Perino said, this not me, that he could have had, thank you Americans for doing what you've been doing over the last 2 years. I know it's tough. No, but he started accusing right from the start. And I think there's going to be other variants. It's not going to be a great winter, and I think he's going to pay the price because because he's actually has to do something, Eric. This is different. It's in real time. You got to be quick. You got to be agile. You got to be forward thinking. All the things that he is not, and I think it's really going to show. Your opinion?
Yeah, I think it's already showing.
Agreed.
And I mean, you said you think there's going to be another variant. Doctors across the country have come out and said, of course there's going to be more variants. That's what coronaviruses do. They always mutate. This always happens. The only people who were taken by surprise on this was the Biden administration. And even the CDC said, we've been preparing for this. But Biden was surprised. The Biden administration was surprised. He was also surprised by his own poll numbers.
Yeah, no. So I think you're looking at a monumental, again, supposedly he's the only modern day president with lower ratings except for Trump. I disagree with that. I believe Trump had higher ratings at this particular point in time. So I think there's more to go. I think, Trump bottomed out at a certain number. I wouldn't be shocked if it gets to 30%, which would be historic. But, everyone's got to have their moment in history, and that could be Biden's, the lowest ever.
Well, remember, Harris has already gotten the lowest approval ratings of any vice president in history. So it's not a stretch to think Biden won't be far behind her. It is absolutely ludicrous what is going on within the Democratic Party. Biden campaigned on two items. One was bring the country together. And the second was to halt COVID. He has completely failed in both of those things. Both of those have actually gotten worse. And the big problem is that they're kowtowing to Bernie Sanders and the progressives. Now, here's the one thing I do not understand. I cannot figure this out. Why are they getting behind Bernie Sanders rather than Joe Manchin? Joe Manchin is a lifelong Democrat. He's a third-generation Democrat. Bernie Sanders is an independent socialist who only joins the Democratic Party. Yeah, well, but I'm just talking about party now. He's an independent socialist who only joins the Democratic Party when he wants to run for president. So why would you be backing him and his followers rather than real Democrats?
Yeah, but I have to push back about real Democrats. I think it's a line of bullshit. I think the Democratic Party has shifted to the left. I think the compass is with the AOC, that whack job from Massachusetts, the bald-headed lady. I forgot her name at the particular point in time. It's not really important.
Pocahontas.
No, she's an African American. She's bald. Whatever. She's nuts. Okay. She's insane. But yeah, Pocahontas is insane too. Knows nothing about the real world effect. And I'll even interject. Pocahontas. She's exactly what liberalism is. Do as I say, not as I do. And I'll point to Nancy Pelosi that just made millions, her family, cashing in on Microsoft, getting a government contract. Boy, I bet that was just dumb luck. It's called insider trading. Again, the big socialist Pelosi and Pocahontas, who defended corporations in her previous life, that's all good for other people except for them. But I do think the compass and the direction and the energy of the Democratic Party is with the socialist Hamas wing of the party. And I think if you betray them, if you go against them, you will be punished. And I think the press is, at least for now, the outlet for them.
Okay, I will give you that the press is the outlet for them, but I'm going to push back on the idea that they are controlling the Democratic Party. And as evidence, I'm going to point to this past election day when the progressives got their asses handed to them. Ilhan Omar was out there pushing to defund the police, and every one of her proposals was shot down by her constituency. Progressives across the country got kicked out of office. Even Democrats that won in reliably Democratic states barely pulled out victories when they switched to the left. The more moderate ones, they were the ones that survived and thrived. So I think where 2020, you saw this swing towards the idiots in the squad. I think you're seeing that pendulum already return.
And I agree 100% with that. And to clarify my position is maybe they don't technically control, but that's where was, and I agree it's fading. But that's where a year ago, that's absolutely where the energy was. I think Biden was scared shitless. I think all of them were scared shitless to defy the Hamas wing of the party. And therefore, that's why Biden, well, he's not really in control. Whoever is his operatives, they had the progressive agenda. Biden has a history. He has a history of being a moron, but he also has a history of being relatively moderate. He's the most progressive president ever, besides FDR.
He is. I mean, I think they've taken over his staff, and quite frankly, I don't think he has any idea what's going on.
No, he has no idea.
But if you want to take a look at what the future of the socialist liberals are, I would say take a good look at the mayors of New York and San Francisco. Mayor de Blasio is leaving office. He is being replaced by a former police officer who has stood up to Black Lives Matter. He's a Democrat. And he has said he is refunding the police. He is going to be about law and order. This has gone too far. You take a look at the San Francisco mayor. Now, this is someone who actually defunded her police department.
Yeah, she's begging for support.
And now she's begging for support, going, we are refunding the police. We are taking action on law and order. Why? Because these socialist policies don't work. They are dangerous. And the mayors are the ones on the ground. They're the ones that have to deal with this. So you're seeing, and something else is in November's elections, where progressives were basically pushed out, you saw a lot of African-American voters coming out against progressives. You saw a lot of Hispanic voters coming out against progressives. So their traditional audiences are going, no, this is not what we signed on for. You are out of here.
Yes, interesting. And last thing is on that note, let's close on a positive note, because I think, everything in life is like a yin and yang. And I think, yes, Trump, because of his own craziness, didn't get reelected. We have Biden, a very incompetent president, but I think there's a very, very big silver lining, and that is that you see the progressivism has been exposed for what it is, and that would not have happened if Trump got reelected. And I think it could set the tone, just like Reagan after Carter, for a extended period of time if the Republicans don't screw it up, for conservative and Republican rule. And I also will close on the fact that you see it in even the census data, so to speak. California, people are leaving in droves. I think it's last year the size of Cleveland left California. But another interesting fact that came out today, not only are people bailing, but there's been a 38% decrease in people coming into the state. So not a good combination, but shows you that liberal policies a la Gavin Newsom just doesn't work.
Yeah, I mean, you take a look at what happened in California, and I find it absolutely hysterical that over the past couple of days, I've actually heard some people floating Gavin Newsom's name to run for president in 2024. There's no way he'll ever get past. There's no way he'll ever get past the primary.
No.
But that's something else. The Democrats are in such disarray. They're starting to float names of potential presidential candidates. That has never happened before. They've never floated names against an incumbent.
No, and in fact, there's indications that Hillary is floating some ideas, and I don't doubt it.
Hillary is definitely floating the idea of running again. I will go on the record as saying Hillary will never get the party's endorsement. she will never win the primary. If nothing else, they don't want to have to talk about the Steele document and the fact that Hillary committed fraud in 2016. So there's no way she's going to survive a primary.
And I'll just, on a humorous note, I believe that if she was in Connecticut, she'd have one foot on a banana peel, the other one in the Institute of Living, because when she did her acceptance speech, that's time for the nets to come out. I believe that was she never recovered from 2016, and I think she's totally out there. Even admitted the fact that she's drinking heavily. Oh my God, she did.
Yeah. I know. It's like, no, she never recovered from 2016. And quite frankly, neither did the Democratic Party. They thought 2016 was going to be a coronation. They thought the Obama years were never going to end. And now, not only did Trump erase Obama's legacy, but Biden has decimated it, because most of the people in the Biden administration are the same people that were in the Obama administration. So Biden has completely destroyed Obama's legacy, even more than Trump ever could.
And you know something? That's what you get with Carnivore Radio. Lopkin, that's great analysis, and you don't hear that anywhere else, is that, yeah, you could say Trump besmirched Obama's legacy, but Biden electrocuted it, and you have probably one of the people behind the operatives, because he has no idea what he's doing, is like Susan Rice and others. They're all ex-Obama people, and it shows their true colors. But anyway, I'm glad we did this show today. And now we'll wish our listeners a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and a Happy New Year.
Absolutely. This time we're taking vacation for real. We will see you in the new year. And remember, you can catch every episode at xvadio.com/podcast, as well as the Carnivore Radio website, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Audible, Amazon Music, and wherever you find podcasts. Have a happy New Year.
It was a great year, Dr. Lopkin. Thank you.
Jeff, you have a happy New Year as well, and we will see our listeners in the new year.
Take care.